72% of women say that hair shedding is the number one unmet healthcare need. 72% of women. Searches for female hair loss are up 125% in the last year alone. And yet most women are still being told that it's just stress, it's just aging, it's only genetics, or it's something that they just have to live with. And it's not. Hair loss in women has more than 12 documented treatable root causes. And most women are evaluated for one or two, maybe, before being sent home. And I want to put a number on what that dismissal is costing you as women. The average women have to wait 2 to 3 years before you actually get a meaningful answer about what could be going on with your hair loss. 2 to 3 years of watching and changing in the mirror, 2 to 3 years of appointments that have went nowhere, 2 to 3 years of being told or being handed a pamphlet for different medication or educating you about what hair loss is. This is not a gap in patient follow through. This is a gap in how medicine approaches women's symptoms. I'm Dr. Tara Hardy, and over the next 3 special episodes, I'm going to change that. This is part 1. And this series is for women who have been dismissed about their hair loss. But it's also for someone else I want to speak directly to, hairdressers. Because here is something that does not get said enough. You are often the first person to know that a woman is losing her hair. You see her every 6 to 8 weeks. You run your fingers through her hair. You notice when the density at that crown looks different than it did 3 appointments ago. You notice when more hair is on the brush than usual. You notice the texture shifted. When it used to be thick and now it's fine or fragile. You notice these things before she fully registers them for herself. And almost, if not always, before any doctor does. That makes you one of the most important people in the conversation we're going to have in these episodes, not because you're diagnosing anything. You should not have to do that. That's not your job, but you observe it. You have a relationship built with this female, and you are having these open conversations that genuinely should have happened a long time ago, but you actually can change someone's health by doing this. So I'm going to give you the foundation of everything that follows and what's to come in this series. Hair loss is not cosmetic. There is issues going on with their body. It's symptoms. Hair loss is usually just one of them, but it's the main one. And just like increasing fatigue or unexplained weight changes or pain that keeps getting worse, it deserves investigation. Not reassurance. We need to investigate what is going on. And I want to just say before I go any further, this is fake hair. I have hair extensions because of over 2 decades. I remember sitting when I was like 19 in my hairdresser's chair crying because my hair would not grow. And she kept cutting it shorter thinking it would grow. I was on every supplement back. That would have been in 2007 already when I was on all of this. And I finally caved. I'm not getting rid of them. No shame. I am a huge proponent of hair extensions and toppers and whatever it might be because it has made me feel so much better since I have added this to my life. So I want to say something again as we start here because I think it matters. The pattern of women being dismissed when they bring up hair loss is so real and it's documented. Women's symptoms, particularly those involving hormones and involving anything that requires a lab beyond a normal basic panel, is always distributed or it's always contributed to stress, aging, lifestyle. They're blaming you for this without any clinical workup that those symptoms actually deserve. And hair loss sits right in the middle of that gap. It's always deemed cosmetic. It's culturally coded as something women are just sensitive about. It gets dismissed. It's being told you're vain. Why do you care about that? It's just hair, right? So if you've been dismissed, first of all, I'm sorry that you've had to go through that. I've been there. It is heartbreaking. The problem is not that you are wrong about your hair. The problem is that you have not yet had the right provider in the room with you. So we're going to change that, and I'm very excited to do this. But let's talk about baseline. I want to start with just some baseline hair conversation. Normal hair shedding is actually, based on what I was researching, 50 to 100 strands a day. That's technically natural, end of growth cycle. Hair is completing the arc and releasing to make room for more. Okay, normal. What's not normal is when that rate accelerates significantly, when there's a pattern change, when there's a texture change, when new hairs are not growing back, when you don't have that new hair growth replacing the ones that are being lost, when your part line is wider than it used to be, when you can see your scalp in places that you couldn't see it before. These are signals, these are signs from your body. And a provider who knows what to look for can read them, and your hairdresser can always read them too. So hairdressers know what to look for, but I want to just put a little something in here too. And this is for you patients to be looking for as well. But diffuse thinning, so overall loss across your entire scalp rather than a localized area. Again, that widening part line often is one of the first structural changes that signals that there's follicles that are shrinking and getting smaller. Temple and hairline recession. So that's more common when there's actual androgen driven, or when your male hormones are not where they're higher than they're supposed to be, or just hormonally driven hair loss in general. Sudden increase in shed, so large amounts releasing together. I can tell you that patients notice this all the time first, and that's often 2 to 4 months after a triggering event, which we're going to go more into. So when you notice it, we have to be thinking back, and the healthcare provider has to be getting a good history, but what's been going on in the months prior, not today, this week, or last week. We have to be looking back further at that 2 to 4 month area. Progressive slow loss. So that's gradual, when you may not register it on your own in the mirror. This is usually maybe when the hairdresser is noticing it at your 6, 8, 12-week hair appointment with them. Texture changes. So hair becoming finer, fragile, less elastic, or breaking easier. That is a significant change. Again, scalp visibility that was not previously there, especially at the crown or underlighting area, where your hairdresser is like, let's face it, we can't be getting back there. The hairdresser is going to notice that a lot too. Patchy or uneven areas. This is what we need to be knowing as a healthcare provider, because we have to go digging for autoimmune causes for that. And then scalp changes. So flaking, redness, inflammation, sensitivity, that can all change and signal to us as healthcare providers there's something more going on that should not be happening. So I always like to share with hairdressers. I've been having conversations literally with 4 of you in the last month that has really pushed me to do this. So I want to thank you for sharing that with me too. You know who you are. But just owning the conversation that doesn't make it alarming. It's knowing language too. And I think all of you do a really good job at this, but for any new hairdressers that might be listening, or if you are seeing a lot of this, saying things that are like, I've been noticing some changes in your density over the last few appointments. Have you been aware of that? I'm seeing more shedding today than usual. Is that something you've noticed at home? I just want to mention it because I care. Really using kind words. If you've not talked to anyone about this, it might be worth bringing up. So how we say these things too to patients as a hairdresser is really important. We don't need you to know the cause. I do feel like hairdressers know the cause and know a lot more about hair loss than they should have to. They're coming to you. These women are coming to you in the chair and you're with them for a very long period of time. But they name what you see and create an opening for a conversation. But we need to open that door too and talk about the emotional weight that goes into this. Again, I personally know this. I have cried more times than I like to confess about my hair loss. But I think it's chronically underestimated in medicine. And I think hairdressers understand this more than anyone, more than clinicians, more than doctors do. Hair is deeply tied to identity. And it is part of how we as women move through the world. It's how we feel in our own body. It's how we show up professionally and personal. It makes us part of who we are. And when that changes, especially when it changes without any explanation of why or rapidly, it is frightening. It's demoralizing in a way that's really hard to share. And it takes a lot for women to actually bring it up in their appointment. Again, because oftentimes before they make it to us, they've shared it with other providers who have completely dismissed it. It is not vanity. It is a quality of life issue, and it deserves the same clinical attention and seriousness that any other symptom would. I want to just share a little story here too. We have so many hair loss stories, but I had a patient who came in recently and they've been going through hair loss for 2 years. 2 years, that's a lot of hair loss and a lot of work that we have to do to catch back up to that. But she told me she almost didn't make the appointment because she felt like, again, she had been told, a dermatologist specifically told her that it was very vain of her to care about her hair. Dermatologist. And she had been told many times, again, it was stress. It's just part of getting older. Maybe it's genetics, like your mom and dad, they have hair loss, that kind of thing too. And she just started to believe that this problem really didn't matter. But we actually ended up finding 4 treatable root causes at her first visit. 4 that had been not even looked at. She was not vain. She was right. She knew all along what was going on. Again, all of you women do. You all know that something more is going on. But she had spent 2 years talking herself out of advocating because of all the dismissal in the medical system that made her feel like it wasn't that big of a problem. And this story, unfortunately, is not unusual. It's the norm. It's getting worse, and we'll talk about that too. So over the next 2 episodes, we're going to go through every root cause known for hair loss. So buckle up. There's more than a dozen of them. And we're going to talk about hormones, thyroid, iron deficiency, nutritional causes, and yes, drumroll, GLP medications, and exactly what is going on with them in hair loss and what's actually happening on those drugs. We're going to talk about autoimmune causes, medications, common medications that so many of you are on and no one's ever said, hey, it's because of this. We're going to talk about what testing you should have. What does a real workup look like? And not just a TSH and a CBC. We're going to talk about optimal ranges for hair. We're also going to talk about how you can advocate for yourself, what to ask for by name, what a root cause provider, we'll just call it, should actually be looking for, and what to do if you're being dismissed, because it's not just to accept it. And we've also invested in our clinic the most advanced personalized testing available for hair loss. So I'll share more about that in part 3. And everything, this series is truly for the female who's tried everything. It's for you, the hairdressers. Share it with your clients. This is exactly who it's for. Match those episodes to what you're seeing. And if you're a woman watching this because you're scared about what's happening to your hair, I want you to know that there are answers, real ones, and you deserve a provider who's going to look at that for you and go deeper with you on that. Hairdressers, if you're watching this, I want to give you one specific thing to do this week. Think about a client whose hair has changed over the last few appointments. One client you've been quietly watching. Have a conversation with her. Use language from this episode, those little 3 tips I gave you. Send her part 2 and the rest of what's to come, because what she's about to learn in just part 2 alone may be the thing that finally points her towards some answers and real reasons that she's been looking for and some hope. I really just want to provide hope with this series and for women to take back control and know that their hair matters. Your hair matters. Yes, I love my hair extensions, but I still want to grow my hair out underneath them. I'll see you in the next episode.